What is the biggest humiliation a man can take? Any guesses? It is not losing his job. It is not even losing all his money. And it is not even losing his kids. The biggest humiliation a man can take is finding out that his woman has been cheating on him. Because it does not just hit his pride or his ego. It hits the deepest biological programming that he has. For hundreds of thousands of years, a man's reproductive success depended on one brutal reality, knowing the children he was actually investing in were his. So when his woman sleeps with another man, it does not just betray him emotionally. She threatens the core of his own genetic legacy. That is why male sexual jealousy is one of the most consistent, hardwired emotions that men have across every single culture, pretty much. It is not just insecurity. It is an ancient defense system against raising another man's child. Money can be recovered, a job can be replaced, even losing his kids, as devastating as that is, there's still a chance that they can be reunited. But discovering that she gave another man access to her body, the body that was supposed to be exclusively his for reproduction, triggers something very ancient inside of him and very visceral. When a man finds out he has been cheated on, his brain lights up in the same region involved in physical pain. fMRI studies show that the same regions activated during physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex and insula, light up when someone experiences social rejection or betrayal. The amygdala, the brain's threat detector, fires hardcore. Cortisol, the stress hormone, goes through the roof and testosterone drops. That is why so many men describe the moment they find out as like a feeling in their chest, something being crushed, or like something died inside of them. They are not just being dramatic, it is happening at a neurological level. When a man finds out he has been cheated on, he is being told by the person who was supposed to be his most intimate ally that another man was more valuable, more desirable, and more worthy of passing on her genes than he was. And that, my friend, is more than a heartbreak. It is an atomic bomb at the deepest level a man can feel. The experience is so profound that it activates the same neurobiological pathways as PTSD, leaving the body in a heightened state of alert, often referred to as fight, flight, or freeze mode. The initial discovery triggers a tumultuous array of emotions: shock, confusion, anger, sadness, and betrayal. Men may also grapple with self-doubt, questioning their self-worth and desirability. But here is where the Stoic perspective offers something different. Not comfort, not denial, but a framework for facing the abyss without being consumed by it. The Stoics understood that the greatest harm is not what happens to you, but what happens within you. Epictetus taught that we are not disturbed by events, but by our judgments about them. The event itself, the infidelity, is outside your control. But your response to it, your judgment of it, your reaction to it, that is entirely within your power. The Stoic does not say the pain is not real. The Stoic does not say you should not feel it. The Stoic says, do not let the pain become the master of your soul. The Stoic says, do not let the betrayal define your worth, because your worth was never dependent on her fidelity. Your worth was never dependent on her choosing you. Your worth is inherent. It is something you carry within yourself, independent of anyone else's actions. This is not easy. This is not a quick fix. This is the hardest work a man can do, but it is the only work that leads to genuine freedom. When you are betrayed, the natural impulse is to seek revenge, to lash out, to try to regain control by controlling her, by punishing her, by trying to make her feel the pain you feel. But the Stoic recognizes that this impulse, as natural as it is a trap. It is a trap because it keeps you tethered to her. It keeps you tethered to the very person who betrayed you. It keeps you tethered to the past, to the pain, to the humiliation. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In other words, do not become like the one who hurt you. Do not let her betrayal turn you into someone bitter, angry, and consumed by hatred. That is the real defeat. That is the real humiliation, because that means she still controls you. That means she still has power over your emotional state. That means she still defines who you are. What, then, is the Stoic path? It begins with acceptance. Not acceptance of the betrayal as something good, but acceptance of it as something that has happened and cannot be undone. The Stoic does not waste energy wishing things were different. The Stoic looks at reality as it is and asks, what can I do with this? Seneca wrote that a man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. Do not suffer the imagined future. Do not suffer the replay of the past. Suffer only what is present. And what is present is this. You have been betrayed. It hurts. It is a wound. But you are still here. You are still breathing. You are still a man with your own mind, your own choices, your own path forward. Then comes the work of reframing. The Stoic asks, what has really been taken from you? Has she taken your virtue? No, that is yours. Has she taken your integrity? No, that is yours. Has she taken your ability to think clearly and act rightly? No, that is yours. She has taken your trust. She has taken your sense of security. She has taken the relationship you thought you had. But those are external things. They are not you. They are not your essence. You are not diminished because she chose someone else. You are only diminished if you believe that your worth depends on her choice. And that belief, the Stoic would argue, was the real problem all along. You placed your sense of self in something outside yourself. You made her fidelity the foundation of your self-worth. And when that foundation crumbled, so did you. The Stoic remedy is to build your foundation on something unshakable, your own character, your own virtue, your own inner citadel. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man's life is dyed with the color of his imagination. When you imagine that her betrayal defines you, you dye your life with humiliation. When you imagine that her betrayal is a lesson, a turning point, a chance to rebuild yourself on firmer ground, you dye your life with strength. But what about the rage? The Stoic does not deny the rage. The Stoic does not suppress it. The Stoic observes it. The Stoic watches it rise and fall like a wave without being swept away by it. This is the discipline of assent, the ability to say no to the impulse that would carry you into destructive action. You can feel the rage. You can acknowledge it. You can even use it as fuel for transformation. But you do not let it make you a slave. You do not let it make you someone who acts out of revenge rather than out of self-respect. The Stoic knows that the most powerful response to betrayal is not revenge, but indifference. Not the indifference of not caring, but the indifference of not letting it define you. The indifference of knowing that your worth is intact regardless of what she did. The indifference of walking away with your head held high, not because you are pretending not to hurt, but because you know that your value does not depend on her. This is the path of the Stoic man. He does not chase her. He does not beg her. He does not try to win her back. He does not try to punish her. He looks at the situation with cold clarity and asks, is this person worthy of my time, my energy, my love? And if the answer is no, he walks away, not with bitterness, but with finality, not with a slammed door, but with a quiet closing. Because the Stoic knows that the greatest freedom is the freedom to walk away from something that no longer serves you. The greatest strength is the strength to say, this is not for me, and to mean it. The greatest dignity is the dignity to refuse to be defined by another person's betrayal. This is the truth that most men never learn. They think that holding on, that fighting for the relationship, that trying to make her see what she lost is the path to healing. But it is the opposite. That is the path to more pain. That is the path to more humiliation. Because every time you reach out to her, you are telling yourself that you need her. Every time you try to win her back, you are telling yourself that you are not enough without her. And that is the real humiliation, not what she did, what you do to yourself in the aftermath. The Stoic knows that the only person you need to prove anything to is yourself, and the only proof that matters is the proof of your own character. Can you walk away with dignity? Can you let go of the need for her to validate you? Can you rebuild your life on your own terms? This is not about pretending the pain is not there. The pain is real. The pain is deep. The pain is a wound that will take time to heal. But the Stoic does not avoid the pain. The Stoic sits with it. The Stoic examines it. The Stoic asks what it has to teach him because every wound, if you let it, can make you stronger. Every betrayal, if you let it, can make you wiser. Every loss, if you let it, can make you more free. Epictetus wrote that it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And how you react to this betrayal will determine not just your future, but who you become. Will you become bitter, angry, and closed off? Or will you become stronger, wiser, and more self-reliant? The choice is yours, and no one can make it for you. The Stoic also recognizes that the betrayal, while deeply personal, is also a reflection of her character, not yours. Her choice to cheat says something about her. It says something about her values, her integrity, her capacity for honesty. It does not say anything about your worth. You could have been the perfect partner, and she still might have cheated. Because cheating is not about what you lack. It is about what she lacks. It is about her own insecurities, her own weaknesses, her own inability to be honest with herself and with you. The Stoic does not take the blame for someone else's failures. The Stoic takes responsibility for his own actions, his own choices, his own character, and he lets go of the need to take responsibility for hers. This is the hardest lesson, because the ego wants to believe that if you had been better, she would not have cheated. The ego wants to believe that you could have controlled the outcome. The ego wants to believe that the betrayal is a reflection of your inadequacy, but the Stoic knows that is a lie. The Stoic knows that you cannot control another person's choices. You can only control your own. And if you have acted with integrity, if you have been honest, if you have been present, if you have been a good partner, then you have nothing to be ashamed of. Her choices are her own, and her choices do not define you. So what do you do now? You grieve. You allow yourself to feel the pain. You do not suppress it. You do not pretend it is not there. You let it wash over you. You let it break you open, and then you start to rebuild. You start with the fundamentals. You take care of your body. You exercise. You eat well. You sleep. You take care of your mind. You read. You learn. You grow. You take care of your spirit. You meditate. You reflect. You write. You reconnect with what matters to you. You rebuild your life one brick at a time. You do not try to find someone new to fill the void. You fill the void yourself. You become someone who does not need a partner to be complete. You become someone who can stand alone. And then, when you are ready, you can choose to let someone in. Not because you need them, but because you want them. Not because you are afraid of being alone, but because you have something to offer. This is the Stoic path. It is not easy, it is not quick, but it is the only path that leads to genuine freedom. The only path that leads to genuine self-respect. The only path that leads to genuine peace. And when you walk that path, you will find that the betrayal, as painful as it was, becomes a gift because it forced you to become the man you were always meant to be. It forced you to stop looking outside yourself for validation. It forced you to build a foundation that no one can ever shake. That is the greatest victory. Not revenge, not getting her back, not proving you are better than the other man, but becoming the kind of man who does not need any of that. Becoming the kind of man who is whole, complete, and free. The Roman philosopher Seneca, who knew his share of betrayal and loss, wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And in the aftermath of infidelity, the imagination can be a cruel master. It replays scenes you never witnessed. It imagines conversations you never heard. It creates a version of her that is more betraying, more dismissive, more cruel than she may have been. The Stoic practice is to catch yourself in these imaginings and to say, this is not real. This is my mind creating suffering where there is only silence. The pain of the betrayal is real, yes, but the stories you tell yourself about the betrayal, the meaning you attach to it, the weight you give it, that is something you can control. And when you take control of the narrative, you take control of your healing. The Stoic also understands that forgiveness is not for her. It is for you. You do not forgive her because she deserves it. You forgive her because you deserve peace. You forgive her because holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting her to die. The resentment does not hurt her. It hurts you. It keeps you tethered to the past. It keeps you stuck in the pain. It keeps you from moving forward. So you forgive. Not because she asked for it, not because she earned it, but because you are done carrying the weight. The Stoic does not forgive and forget in the sense of pretending it never happened. The Stoic forgives and learns. The Stoic forgives and moves on. The Stoic forgives and builds a new life, one that is not defined by the past. This is the path of the man who has been betrayed but refuses to be defeated. The path of the man who has been humiliated but refuses to be humiliated. The path of the man who has been broken but refuses to stay broken. The path of the Stoic. And if you walk this path, you will discover something surprising. You will discover that the betrayal, the thing that was supposed to destroy you, actually made you stronger. It forced you to confront the things you had been avoiding. It forced you to build the inner strength you always needed. It forced you to become the man you were always meant to be, and that, my friend, is the greatest victory of all. Not revenge, not getting her back, not proving you are better than the other man, but becoming the kind of man who does not need any of that. Becoming the kind of man who is whole, complete, and free. A man who can walk into any room, stand tall, and know that his worth is not determined by anyone else's choices. A man who can love again. Not because he has forgotten the pain, but because he has learned that his capacity for love is stronger than his fear of betrayal. That is the Stoic way, and that is the path to true freedom.